be smart here. We can play the Beast Below.
Here's a big one.
You know, honestly, I think we actually destroy Maokai here.
Here's a big one.
I think he has Atrocity, though, and nothing we do matters. Yeah. And this is it. See what our opponent has. Does he have the Atrocity? Hey everyone, Raptor Spank here. Today we have another episode of On the Grind, the show where I cover a deck I'm playing in Ranked. I'll break down the deck as well as a couple of flex spots, then we'll put the deck through some matches and review how we do afterwards. This episode we'll be playing BS Deep Monsters, a mid-range deck revolving around going deep. The deck gives up the faster deep of Piltover for stronger control and answers to control with Shadow Isles. Let's start with the Champion Package. Champion Package starts with 2 copies of Maokai, a 4-cost 1/4. Each round, the first time you play another ally, toss 2 and summon a Sapling, which is a 2/1 ephemeral with Challenger. He levels up once your units have died or you've tossed 25 cards. Then he becomes a 2/5 with Regeneration. When I level up, obliterate the enemy deck except for 4 non-champion cards. And then every round start, summon a Sapling. His champ spell is Sap Magic, a 3-cost burst spell, toss 3, and heal all allies 3. He's an easy win against hard control decks, especially like Anivia Control, by essentially time limiting their deck by cutting them down to only 4 cards in their deck. And even if they have another champion in hand, that still doesn't necessarily help them a lot, since that means that'll be the only card they draw for the rest of the game eventually. And then he also goes wide against early aggro decks by creating more saplings, creating a sapling every turn when you play another unit. And if Maokai lives past his first turn, he's a huge toss engine, plus these saplings every turn serve as great removal / setting up favorable attacks. Maokai's also a strong blocker because of his 1/4 to 2/5 body. Next up is 1 copy of Thresh, a 5-cost 3/6 with Challenger. He levels up once he's seen 6+ units die, and then he becomes a 4/7, and the first time he attacks this game, summon another attacking champion from hand or deck. Challenger serves as great removal here, and can force through damage from major threats in the late game by pulling things that can block fearsome units to Thresh, so that they can't block, say, a Nautilus. But in addition to this, he benefits from the great removal that our deck has, and the strong number of chump blockers that we have, while also being a strong body himself. And most importantly of all, Thresh serves the main purpose in this deck of finding our Nautilus if we haven't managed to draw him, since Nautilus is so powerful for our deck, or simply just getting the Nautilus out for free without spending 7 mana. This brings us to 3 copies of Nautilus, a 7-cost 0/12 with Tough and Fearsome, and when he levels up, copy all tossed allies that cost 4 or more into your deck. He levels up once you've gone deep, and then he becomes a 13/13, and now all sea monsters cost 4 less while Nautilus is on the board. His champion spell is Riptide, a 4-cost fast spell, stun an enemy, and then if you have Nautilus, shuffle that enemy into the opponent's deck. This is the best / most important card in the deck. It's a massive body that's hard to remove because of Tough, and the fact that he goes from 12 to 13 toughness, which means a thermogenic blast with full mana still won't kill him once he's leveled up. And then he lowers the cost of all of our payoffs, which can be massive. I mean, Abyssal Eye now costs only 1, Devourer of the Depths only costs 2, even Terror of the Tides is only a 4-cost now. It just lets us get out of control super quick. And he refills our deck of best units once he levels up, since all of our deep threats cost 4 or more, and there's basically nothing else that does. This just shuffles them all back into our deck so we can pull them now that they cost so much less and they're a lot larger. And his champion spell is incredibly strong late game removal, because once we have Nautilus out, it basically does just get, like, by putting the unit back in their deck, that pretty much guarantees that they're dead before they see it again. Now let's look at the follower package. This starts with 3 copies of Dredgers, a 1-cost 1/1. When summoned, toss 3 cards. This is a low drop that tosses a lot of cards, so he basically serves as an early chump blocker that turbos us to deep. Next up is 1 copy of Hapless Aristocrat, a 1-cost 1/1 with Last Breath, summon a Spiderling. This is another great early blocker that essentially guarantees 2 blocks, since once he dies he'll create a spider, which we can then block with that as well. So it's just really good against aggro decks to buy us time. Next up is 2 copies of Thorny Toad, a 2 cost 1/4. Last Breath, toss 2 and heal your Nexus 2. This is a great blocker that heals our Nexus, plus gets us closer to deep. It basically does everything our deck is looking to do, and for only 2 mana. So he's great against Burn, where they're going to do a lot of damage to our Nexus, and this way we not only stall their attacks by blocking something, and with a lot of health he'll probably block twice, but when they do finally kill him, he will heal our Nexus on top of that. The problem here is that he has to die to toss or heal, so our opponent can play around that sometimes. Next up is 3 copies of Deadbloom Wanderer, a 3 cost 3/2 with lifesteal. When summoned, toss 3 cards. This is a strong trade blocker that turbos us to deep. The lifesteal is also great against fast decks, but with 3 power he can block fearsome units and he can trade with a lot of early powerful units that our opponent can play. And since he's tossing 3, that's one of the better cards to play to get us too deep. Next up is 3 copies of Jawl Hunters, a 3 cost 4/1 with Challenger. Summon, create a random sea monster in hand. This is removal on a stick, although it is very easy to kill with only 1 health, but it also generates payoffs in hand. This is how we can get great things like Shipwreck Hoarder or Beast Below, even though they're not in the main deck of our deck. This does create things like that, and if it creates an additional Abyssal Eye or Devourer of the Depths, that's one of the best things that can happen for us. Next up, we have 2 copies of Abyssal Eye, a 5 cost 3/3 with Elusive and Deep. Nexus Strike, draw 1. This gets you closer to deep. Even when you haven't hit it yet, you can slam this creature down and then just hit your opponent and draw a card, which will get you a little bit closer to hitting that deep, and you should be close anyways by the time you've played this. And then once you do hit deep, this is one of the best payoffs in the deck because Elusive makes it very hard to block, and it'll still be a 6/6, which is a pretty huge body. Next up, we have 3 copies of Devourer of the Depths, a 6 cost 4/4 with Deep. And when you play him, obliterate an enemy with less health than me. This is the best removal in the deck because it can even blank an Unyielding Spirit, for example, since it obliterates. And it's great against tough units because it doesn't matter that they're tough, you still obliterate them if they have less health. The biggest problem here is if they kill, bounce, or damage your Devourer in response and its health goes lower than the enemy, it will do nothing. So that's the big thing you're worried about. And it is a huge body once you've hit deep to be a payoff, but it doesn't have any other relevant keywords, so it can be chump blocked, which kind of takes away from how much of a threat it can be to our opponent, unless you have your one of Terror of the Tides, which is the next unit in the follower package. It's an 8 cost 6/5 with Deep, and all allied sea monsters have Fearsome, and whenever he attacks, give enemies -2, -0 this round. This is the second best payoff in the deck, just second to Nautilus himself, but it makes Devourer way scarier because now they have Fearsome, so they can't be chump blocked, and this card prevents most people from being able to block your Fearsome units now because the -2, -0 is actually extremely relevant. Now anything with 3 power won't be enough. It has to have at least 5 power to block your Fearsome units, and you just made all of your units Fearsome. So this is a great way to just close out your opponent in a single turn. And it's a massive body on its own because once you hit deep, it's a 9/8. It's basically useless though until you hit deep, and this is why we only have 1 copy, because a 6/5 with Fearsome that gives Fearsome to everything else is alright, but if that's all you've got on turn 8 and you haven't hit deep yet, it's not going to save you in basically any matchup. So we don't want too many of this because we don't want to draw it until we've hit deep. Now let's look at the spell package. This starts with 2 copies of Jettison, a 1 cost burst spell that simply tosses 4 cards. This is a super cheap turbo deep strategy, and it can be used as a combat trick to buff your deep units if you want to set up unfavorable trades for your opponent, or if you want to trick them into trying to do something like, say, single combat to kill your Abyssal Eye before it hits them, but then you jettison, go deep, and you eat their unit and hit them for a ton of damage. There's a lot of advantages to how you can use jettison, but once you've hit deep, this card is completely useless unless you just want to, I don't know, feel like you're getting closer to Nautilus, but since Toss comes off the bottom of the deck, it's not actually helping you much. So in general, Jettison's pretty useless in the late game, and even in the early game, since all it does is get you closer to deep, it can be pretty bad if your opponent's presenting a super fast clock. Next up is 3 copies of Vile Feast, a 2-cost fast spell, drain 1 from a unit to summon a Spiderling. This is decent life gain, gives you a little bit of extra health in important spots, and its removal for extremely fragile / small units that only have 1 health, like say even our Jaw Hunters dies to Vile Feast extremely easily. And this generates an extra blocker by creating a Spiderling, so it's great against aggro decks, just all around. Next up is 1 copy of Miscall, a 3-cost fast spell, revive a random ally that died this round. This is basically just in the deck to save against blowout cards like Vengeance, because it can bring back our most important units, particularly Nautilus. After if we go like Nautilus and we have 3 banked mana, it's like turn 8, we play Nautilus, they Vengeance it, we can Miscall, bring them back, and we should be able to take over the game from there. Next up is 3 copies of Salvage, a 4-cost burst spell, toss 2, draw 2. This is another great Turbo Deep card, as it takes 4 cards out of the deck by tossing 2 and then drawing 2. So often you can overlook this card by being like, well, only toss 2, but the draw also counts towards getting us to deep, so it's great in that respect, and it's just a good utility draw. For only 4 mana, we're still getting 2 new cards, so it helps to refill our hand and get us to our win conditions. Next up is 2 copies of Grasp of the Undying, a 5-cost fast spell that drains 3 from any unit. This is solid removal that also gains us life, so it can be good against burn decks to get us just out of the kill threshold, and it kills a lot of big threats, things like Ash, etc. So it's just an all-around good card. And then we have 3 copies of Withering Wail, a 5-cost fast spell, deal 1 to all enemies, heal your Nexus 3. This deals with go-wide decks, especially small ones. It's great against like spiders, for example, or against Blighted Caretaker, creating the 2 saplings. This kills the saplings plus the Blighted Caretaker, and it gains you 3 life, so it's great against aggro decks like Endure Tokens. And then finally, we have 2 copies of Atrocity, a 6-cost fast spell, kill an ally to deal damage equal to its power to anything. This is an instant kill with things like Nautilus, since all we have to do is get 7 damage through, which is pretty easy to get to that point, just inconsequentially with our smaller units. And then you just slam Nautilus, levels up, becomes a 13/13, and even if they have a kill spell for him, you could just fling him at your opponent for a ton of damage. And you can just end up getting kills by flinging stuff like Abyssal Eye or Terror of the Tides at our opponent, even if you don't have the Nautilus, just by how quickly you can get your opponent to a point that that's lethal. However, it's really bad against Ionia decks or Freljord decks, since they can always deny Atrocity or bounce the creature in response to Atrocity. Or in Freljord's case, which is the worst outcome, they can frostbite your unit, so you still lose your unit, you still lose Atrocity, and you deal 0 damage to your opponent's Nexus. So those are the matchups where you really want to be careful about going for it. Now let's look at the flex spots. There's a number of little spots you can drop a card here to go up another one, and then a few other cards that can fit into the deck. Some of the big things is like you could drop the 1 of Hapless Aristocrat for a 3rd Thorny Toad if healing is extremely important. For example, if you're seeing a lot of burn decks, this is a great way to get more health gain into your deck. You could drop the Thresh for a 3rd Maokai if you're expecting a lot of hard control decks, stuff like Anivia Control or Spooky Karma. This is a good way to just empty your opponent's deck and try to force the loss for them. A big one is you can drop the 1 Miscall for a Riptide if you prefer that. That's the 4-cost fast spell that stuns an enemy and then shuffles that enemy into the opponent's deck if you have a Nautilus. This is a better card if you're scared of combo decks or decks with scary win conditions like Swain / Leviathan. Riptide is really good into those decks for just getting rid of them that 1 turn you need in order to finish the game out. So in many cases, it's worth dropping the 1 Miscall for Riptide if you're seeing a lot of those decks. And then you can always drop a Withering Wail for a 3rd Grasp if you're expecting more single targets than go-wide decks. For example, like I said, it's good against Ash, so Grasp is going to be a little bit better than Withering Wail against, say, Ash Sejuani midrange. Or you can actually just drop the 2 Grasps or 2 Withering Wails for 2 Vengeances, or you could drop like 1 of them for 1 Vengeance, which is the 7-cost fast spell that just kills a unit. This is really expensive, so it's kind of hard to get into the deck because we're not really a control deck, but since it is just clean removal to basically any threat your opponent can play, it only gets blanked by like Unyielding Spirit or a Deny. So if you're expecting a lot of really big single target threats where you have to deal with them, again, it's good against stuff like the Leviathan Swain, for example, then it could be worth dropping some number of those for Vengeances instead. And you could even try to fit a Ruination in, the 9-cost slow spell that kills all units. It's not really great for us though, because we do go wide eventually ourselves, but you can always Ruination on turn 6 to Nautilus turn 7, and against some decks that will be huge for us, so it's worth considering something like that if you're scared of stuff like Bannermen / Banner Scouts especially. Then you could possibly put Ruination in, but usually it's pretty bad for us to do, so very few decks run it, and you really would only run it as like a 1 of at most. And then finally, some people put 1 to 2 Shipwreck Hoarders in their deck. The 7-cost 7/5 with Deep, the one you summon tosses 2 and then shuffles 2 Treasures in your deck. It's a massive body, but it can be chump blocked. The big reason you would run Shipwreck Hoarder is that treasures are insanely strong. Most of them are super good, and getting them can really just end the game for your opponent very easily. The big problem is it's a really expensive card, and it's a really bad draw before you've hit Deep, and it doesn't actually get you to Deep either, since it tosses 2 and then replaces those 2 instantly. The only way it gets you to Deep is if you're at like 16, 17 cards, because it will toss 2, hit Deep, and then you'll go Deep, and then it shuffles the cards back in. But just in general, I don't consider it particularly worth including in the deck. It tends to make the deck less consistent and weaker to especially aggressive decks. But it is something you could consider. You could drop some removal is probably the easiest way to do it, or maybe drop the atrocities for it. That's roughly what people consider for the flex spots in the deck. So let's take this deck into some ranked matches and see how we do. Alright, so game 1 here, and it looks like we're going to be against Banner Scouts. So this is an interesting matchup. They can overwhelm us pretty quickly, and our removal is not particularly great against them, but if I can get to the late game, I should be able to beat them pretty handily. This Aristocrat and Deadbloom Wanderer should get us pretty far. The question is whether we need the Thresh. I think I'm going to keep Thresh, because Thresh is really good at killing Misfortune. It'll be a slow answer to her, but it should work. So yeah, I'm gonna keep these 3, pitch that one. Ooh, that's really good. Alright, yeah, we're gonna lead on Dredgers here. Just get our engine running. I'm not worried about those. Those weren't too bad tosses. A little sad to see Deadbloom Wanderer at the bottom, but alright, let's see what he's got. Nothing. Well, that's really good for us. Banner Scouts not having the 1-drop is incredibly good for us.
My shield is yours.
The question is whether we want to set up killing their thing. No. We'll just play this. It's tempting to leave Vile Feast up, so if he attacks, I can block plus Vile Feast and kill it. Ah, see, he didn't even attack, so we would have just missed the opportunity to play this. The risk was higher than the value. Do we run out this Deadbloom Wanderer? I don't think we do. I think we play Dredgers and bank the full 3 mana. That way if he goes onto like MF or something, we can always Grasp of the Undying it. MF is obviously pretty bad against what we have here. Or bad for us. I think we're going to attack with Dredgers. I don't think he's willing to double block, but he might. And if so, we can kill this Bright Steel Protector. I think there's a good chance he just takes the damage here. At most, I expect this block here. Which, again, lets us Vile Feast to kill that. Now, the question is whether we have to Vile Feast. I think we do. Because if he has Bannerman, we're going to get really punished for not Vile Feasting. So we're going to Vile Feast here to kill Protector. Get our unit. Maybe he has Ranger's Resolve. He doesn't, or didn't use it, so that's good. A lot of Banner Scout decks don't run it anymore. Now here's the real question. What happens now? Okay, now we just kill MF. And we'll take the first 3, I think, off Grizzled Ranger, and then we'll block. Actually, oh, okay, he won't even attack. Perfect. That's the most ideal answer. I think we just swing here. No. Okay, no. This is where we run out of Thresh. This is where we play Thresh. It'd be silly of us not to play Thresh, because if he blocks one of these, we're going to get credit for the death to Thresh, which is ideal. Now, what does he play? That's the real question. We've held out decently here. I mean, we're still at 20 life into turn 5, and we have the attack token, so... the question is... So they run back-to-back. How worried... Okay, yeah, we're not going to risk our Thresh here. We're just going to swing with all three. And if he plays MF, we still have this Grasp to kill her, so... It's not that big a deal. Quinn.
Gets between me and my
Interesting. Okay.
Damn is the boss. You best start ready.
Okay. This is actually pretty good for us. Because if he swings with all three, we can actually set up a leveled up Thresh. Like an instantly leveled up Thresh. By trading all three of ours and killing all three of theirs using Grasp the Undying to kill Quinn. We'll see how it goes. Because I think there's a good chance he's going to pull something with this. Well, now we definitely don't want a Withering Wail. That's for sure. Yeah, let's see what he does.
I'm one of the good guys.
Okay, Misfortune. We do actually have to kill Misfortune. With this many scouts and all that, we can't let her live. And we should be able to deal with this Quinn using Thresh. Because as long as he swings with 3 things, we'll level up Thresh.
Time to get rowdy.
Yeah, this is why he's really thinking about this one. We are willing to trade something with that, I think. Yeah, we're going to save as much health as we can at this point. How close are we to deep? All right, we're 9 off. That's a little rough. All right, so we got 2 triggers for Thresh. Let's see what he goes for. That's surprising. Yeah, we'll block that, because getting this down to 3 health is pretty good. I think we'll probably just go into the next turn and swing with Thresh and pull Quinn. Because we really want Quinn to die. That's a little unfortunate. I'm trying to think about how we need to do this. I can't kill her now. That's the big problem here. Wow, that's rough. Cause she can level up next turn, and she's not the craziest level up, but it is still a problem. All right. Yeah, I think we just miscall plus Dead Bloom. I hope he doesn't have, like, single combat and then we get unlucky. Single combat kill Spiderling. So we're going to miscall plus Dead Bloom Wanderer, because we need to get closer to deep. We've done well at stabilizing, but now we've reached a point where it's a little concerning. So we need to be a little more progressive with our strategy. The big problem here being that we don't actually have payoffs right now. That's what we're looking for the most. Losing the Atrocity sucks. That's a good way to win against Bannermen, or Banner Scouts in this case.
Feed Demacia.
Okay. That's not the scariest thing. Although it's definitely not a good thing. Okay, that's actually pretty decent. I mean, we're still probably not going to Vile Feast, because I think we're setting up Withering Wail plus Salvage.
I'll defend these forests to the end.
Okay.
We'll defend them to the end.
Trying to think how bad that is for us. Yeah, I think we're just kind of... We're looking for win conditions. That is a win condition. Okay, so now we can take care of either Quinn or Genevieve, and I'm trying to think which one is scarier at this point. Because Genevieve's definitely a problem, but Quinn leveling up could be really bad for us. Huh. Decisions. I think we'll take out Genevieve. That kills Thresh, whereas nothing else on this board state does. So that was one of the better draws we could have gotten there. Now we can't Withering Wail, but since everything got pumped by Genevieve, Withering Wail's not even good for us right now. Okay, that's fine. I assume he's just going to level up Quinn here. He's just trying to turbo level Quinn, which is a reasonable strategy, but I don't know how bad that is for us. Because Valor won't kill a lot of our things. And Valor can't kill Thresh. Can't even force Thresh to block her, even, at this point. He's probably going to swing with something, though, because otherwise he doesn't get the Quinn level up, and I think you do have to get the Quinn level up, but whatever swings is, something is going to die. Because well, okay, so Quinn might not die, but she's going to take a decent amount of damage.
I'm actually
Is he just going to swing with this Cytheria?
Hand to the face.
Whoa. Okay, because now it would kill Thresh. Okay, a full swing is scary, but he just leveled up our Thresh as well as leveling up his Quinn. So that's the unfortunate choice he just made there. Now, what do we do? So we obviously block Quinn, because we don't want to take that much damage. What do we do here? Because I'm tempted to block here and kill Petty Officer, because that would be pretty strong. But then to do that play, I really need Thresh to level up first, which means I have to block here, which means I take one more point of damage. I think that might be fine, though. And then this should hopefully get our Nautilus. It could pull Maokai, which would be bad, but I think that's a risk we just take. Yeah, we block like this. And now we're definitely looking to Jaw Hunter next turn, unless we pull Nautilus off the top, because then we will play Nautilus first. Okay, that's not scary. That's really not. Okay, that's about the worst card we could draw.
Danger pays.
That's one of the best cards we could draw. Because that'll deal with Quinn. And that's what we really need to do here. Is deal with Quinn.
been a long path to get here.
Yeah, I think we just try to get rid of her. Should be hard for him to pump her. And I'm more scared of her than I am Quinn, I think. Yeah.
We'll see who feasts tonight. Smell that? A fight's a cooking.
Okay, yeah, we are in a good spot here. Can't really deal with Quinn. I think I am going to hit Quinn, though. Well, no, I guess killing things is more important. So we're gonna pull War Chefs. Maybe we want to kill all the War Chefs, in fact. Yeah, we want to kill all the War Chefs, and then see whatever he pulls. He shouldn't. He can't kill these. I say shouldn't, but I can already see everything he has. He has no cards, and we got the Nautilus. Perfect, perfect. That was the best pull. I was worried it would pull the Maokai, but pulling Nautilus means we are in great shape. This is exactly where our deck wants to be. Cards back in, so we got our Devourer and our Abyssal Eye that we tossed before. Our Thresh lives, these live, Nautilus lives, so he loses both War Chefs. And he has to block with one of these, which he'll lose. I think he... Oh, yeah, there we go. And he's just going to surrender. He knows it's over. That's fair. Alright, yeah, that went pretty well. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a good matchup for us, but that's how it can work well for us. Okay, looks like the sort of Ash Swain combo kind of Freljord Noxus is a little different from the, or not Ash, Sejuani Swain. It's a little different from the Ash Frostbite control variant. I think here we're kind of looking to combo quick. So Vile Feast I don't think is very good. Dredge Dredgers and Thorny Toad I'm okay with. I don't know about the Maokai. I think we could pitch Maokai here. I think this we're happy with. This is a good core build out here. That's a little bit better. At least we have payoffs here, and Abyssal Eye kind of digs our way there. It's a little bit rough, but we kind of want to combo quick against this deck. Because if we can get there before he flips Swain, we're in relatively good shape. Because this tends to be a little more tempo-y, kind of jank. Let's see if he has a turn to play. Well, I mean, we're going to play this Thorny Toad regardless. We're not going to play Jaw Hunters first. We're going to swing with these two. Get the damage through, I think. Unless he plays something that we want to kill with Jaw Hunters right now. He's doing a lot of thinking, though. So he's got something. I'm guessing, like, Death's Hand, maybe? And he was thinking about getting the Sejuani activation. Ooh, Jettison's great. That's exactly what we're looking for. Since we're trying to combo quick. It also means we're good just banking this mana, potentially. Alright, that's a little unfortunate. Yeah, we run out this Jaw Hunters. The one nice thing is that this deck tends to not have... I mean, they do have, like, Death's Hand and all that stuff, but the removal's a little bit weaker than, say... The tempo one's a little more scary to me, anyways. And then, like, Swain Bilgewater is really scary. Oh, this is the City Breaker one. That's a little concerning. How do we want to do this? Well, if we're trying to combo off, so we don't really care about Beast Below. What was that? That was... Okay, yeah, we're fine with all those tosses. No, we don't block with Jaw Hunters. I mean, he could probably kill Hunters anyways, but we don't block that because we are hoping to deal damage to City Breaker. We are still gonna play this Abyssal Eye though. Presumably he has a way to kill Jaw Hunters. That's almost guaranteed. But he might have to use that on Abyssal Eye. Okay, that's fine. I think we aren't swinging with everything else now, though. With two pretty powerful attackers. Okay, he has that. I can't do anything about that, so he's just dead. At least Swain's pretty far off right now. Okay, that helps his swing plot a little bit. I have this Beast Below, though, so that will be pretty strong if he tries to go for early Swain. And if he doesn't, I can use this Grasp of the Undying to kill one of these. Ooh, Nautilus. Okay, that's good.
Up there in the mountains.
I think we are gonna play this Beast Below. That probably found a Sejuani or I'd be happy if he swings. Yeah, perfect. Now we full heal, and we toss a few more. I'm totally fine with those gang toss. Having this Atrocity is really good for us. This deck doesn't tend to play a ton of Frostbite because it's really all in on the Sejuani combo, so there's a much better chance of actually getting to pull off the Nautilus Atrocity combo. I don't think it's actually worth playing Nautilus right now because we can't actually activate him. But it is tempting. No, I think we need more blockers. And then we're fine just passing. We do want to get this Nautilus out eventually, but that might be next turn. Whereas I'd rather just have jump blockers right now. And keep this Beast Below in order to block
A chill in the air.
that's not a good sign. If he Culling Strikes plus plays Swain, we're in trouble. Okay. Alright, we're good. We're good. That's what we're mostly scared of. This is getting real close to a leveled up Sejuani, though. That's problematic. Huh. What can we do here? think we just run out Nautilus. Yeah, we're gonna run out Nautilus, and then we can jettison Terror of the Tides next turn. We will happily trade with things here. Even with Withering Whale, we will quite happily trade these in. We don't really... These are probably going to get replaced by bigger units if they don't die. And that gets us closer to Maokai, at least. Not that that's something we're really aiming for at this point.
Darken the skies!
Yeah, Sejuani this turn's really bad for us. Okay, we could play Maokai plus Terror of the Tides. That could be pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna go for that. We're gonna go for that. Jettison gets us down to 7 mana. That gets us down to not enough to fling this turn. But depending on how he plays, he won't be able to block most of our things. And actually, if he Sejuani's right now, it won't do much. That's the problem our opponent's dealing with here. Okay, perfect. Now he can't Sejuani. That said, dealing damage to my Nexus will stun things. That's the biggest concern right now. Okay. Well, we're deep at least. And the bright side is we have a lot of ways to gain life. So that's pretty good for us.
Your ship has come in.
That's unfortunate. We didn't want to toss a Devourer at this point. He's got to deal damage to our Nexus multiple times. If we can swing with this, we're in good position. So we have to hope he can't deal damage to our Nexus twice before passing priority. Because we really want this Terror of Tides to swing. Because then only this can block.
Knocked and ready.
Okay. That's not that big of a problem. Swing like this, and we'll pull this over. So that takes a big amount of damage. Let's see what he's got. It seems like all of his Frostbite is through play effects, so that's good for us. Okay, he didn't have Culling Strike for Nautilus, also very good for us. I mean, we're going to go to a low life total here.
Such little lives.
Okay.
Gotta believe me.
So that has us dead. So we just have to go for it, I think. So we just block here, I guess.
I have connections.
And let's just go for it. I hope he doesn't have something like harsh winds. Let's see if he has it. I don't think the deck runs harsh winds, but it's a possibility. And by going with Nautilus instead of one of these, he can't double Ravenous Flock. Oh, and we got there. Whew, close one, but we had it. We found it. Playing Maokai first was definitely a pretty big play there, because then we weren't showing him what we were going to be doing, so he knew, like, if he had Sejuani, he didn't necessarily have to play it. He probably wanted to play Swain instead for the stuns. But yeah, we'll take that. Alright, Ender tokens. This ought to be interesting. It's been a little while since I've played this matchup. Basically, we want to be the control deck here. Lots of life gain is good. So yeah, Grasp of the Undying is great here. Withering Whale can be exceptionally great as well. Nautilus, we can wait. We can wait to draw him. So I'm a little hesitant to keep 2 5 costs here, but I think I'm actually going to do this because I have a turn 1 Dredgers, which can block really well or trade with something, which would be great. And then I can choose which one of these 5 costs I want on turn 3, depending on what our opponent does. Ooh, that's even better. Yeah, okay, no, that changes it. We go Hapless Aristocrats over Dredgers here. We don't care about the combo in this matchup so much as shutting down our opponent. So a double blocker, something that can block twice, is huge. And I don't think we want to play Dredgers here.
I don't bite.
Yeah, no, we don't play Dredgers here. We'd rather bank the mana so we can Grasp of the Undying or Withering Wail next turn. Now the question is whether we will trade with this Spiderling. I don't think we will. I think we'll take the damage. I think we're keeping this Hapless Aristocrat for something better. That's a play. Our opponent can't... I mean, like, if he has double Vile Feast, he can deal with Deadbloom Wanderer. That is kind of a blowout. How worried are we about that? Because that will also level his Elise. That's a play, though. I'm gonna go for this. We're not gonna attack with it, though. This just gives us a blocker for Elise. Okay. Alright. Yeah, we're good. I'm just gonna pass. Keep our banked mana. Not swing with anything. Alright, that's not concerning either. Deadbloom can trade with this. Hapless Aristocrat can chump that, and we can Grasp Elise. That'll be good eventually. Maokai's actually pretty good in this matchup too. So next turn I can Maokai plus Dredgers and then taunt kill something. So I'll probably not block this Ravenous Butcher now that I know I can kill it. Oh, he's going for the double. Now he's doing it? That's funny. Alright, so then we're faced with a weird question here. We can go for the Withering Wail to kill all the spiders, or we can just kill Elise right now. I think we're going to kill Elise right now. Though, there's downsides to that. I don't think we're going to kill Elise. If we kill Elise, if he has another one in hand, he plays it, and then we're really screwed. Honestly, so by passing here, he could auto-level his Elise by passing. But I don't think he's going to do that. And as we can see, he is in fact not going to do that. We're going to block here, so the Maokai minion can kill this next turn. And then we're going to Withering Wail, which will kill all of these spiders and gain us some life. We'll take a very small amount of damage here. We're set up to Withering Wail again to kill Ravenous Butcher. And now Elise won't level up. And we still have this one blocker saved. That was a pretty good turn for us, all things considered. Avaros and Sentry, not worried about that. We still have this other Withering Wail. I don't know what I was even thinking. Yeah, we can Withering Wail kill Escaped Abomination. So really, we're just going Maokai plus Dredgers, get the minion, kill Elise with the minion. That's what we're going for. Okay, yeah, so we're going to get Elise here. That's the good part. Oh. I always forget it does the Maokai and then the Dredgers. So I was like, wait, that was one too few. We're getting pretty close to deep, actually. So that's pretty good. We are willing to be drained just to kill this this Elise, I think. Although, it's debatable. No, this is fine. Because we can Withering Wail, or we can... What we can really do is Grasp the Undying his Neverglade, and then Withering Wail is lethal. That is incredibly lucky. Okay. We don't want to get hit by that. Are we willing to trade in this Maokai? I think we are. So we'll block there. And then we will Grasp of the Undying here. Yeah, we'll go for that. If Maokai dies, that sucks. We're assuming they have, like, Fury of the North here. And so now we've just set it, so there's a number of things he could use Fury for, and he's going to have to choose which one matters most to him. Either saving, escape the bomb. Okay, so he doesn't even have it, so that's perfect for us. He definitely should not have swung the Neverglade there. That was a mistake. But that put us in insanely good position. And let's see, by banking 2, we have 7 plus 2, 9, so we can play both of these next turn. That's really good too. Okay, that's not concerning. I mean, we don't want them to fill their hand, especially since we are in a bad spot for They Who Endure. They Who Endure plus Atrocity ends our game pretty handily. Oh my. Alright. We're 1 mana short of actually turning him on right now, but... Oh, this is actually pretty good because I can kill Bark Beast. Alright, so we'll do that. We'll kill Bark Beast. I think he has a They Who Endures, so we're kind of in rough shape, but... doing what we can here. Wow. That's actually insanely good for us. Oh wait, we are within. Oh, I forgot about the Maokai. Oh, that. I feel bad now. He just lost an Atrocity, and he's not gonna kill our Abyssal Eye, and we're still gonna draw. Yeah, that should be game. Like, I mean, he still has plenty of live draws here. He has plenty of live draws here, especially drawing more now. Oh, okay. Well, the Bark Beast lives at least. That is not bad. I mean, ideally we're looking for Nautilus at this point. Okay. What are we going for here? We have a couple of options actually. So I could play this Devourer of the Depths and obliterate Bark Beast. Tempting to do. But then if he... No, wait, no, we're still good. We're still good. Yep. We can do this. I was a little bit worried about, like, letting him block, or letting him attack, block with this, and then obliterate They Who Endure to prevent an Atrocity kill. But if he swings, I can block with this. I'll lose a bunch. I'll still lose a lot, but now I'm within Atrocity range of killing this They Who Endure. So that's still good for us. Okay, I think we can level Maokai here too. Right? What are we at? 23. This tosses 2. That would have done 1 more as well. We're fine with that. Okay, we can force a decent amount of damage through now. We're mostly concerned about Atrocity. That's a little unfortunate. Would have loved that to, well, whatever. It's not bad. It's not a bad draw. So, what we're most scared of here is Atrocity. Let's see if it shows us what he milled. The other all of the other endures. They Who Endures. So, he can't double Atrocity yet, so this should be... Yeah. We should be all set. Yeah, so now we just have to kill it. A little unfortunate to lose our Abyssal Eye like this, but I can get it back with Miscall. And he has no more They Who Endures. Oh, I suppose what we're really worried about here is, yeah, Fury of the North. Yeah, I think he has us then, right? Because if we Vile Feast here, we can't kill it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, he had it. There we go. Alright. I thought we had him, but I didn't think about the Fury of the North. That's unfortunate. Oh well. If only we had the double Atrocity, that might have worked, but... Yeah, it happens. You win some, you lose some. Alright, Sejuani Swain again. For game number 4 here. 2-1 currently. We win this one and we're going positive for sure, but let's see. Vile Feast pretty bad. I think this is all pretty bad. Thresh is a little bit better. Because he can kill some important things. And he can block Swain. Okay, we'll keep the Thresh. We're pitching everything else. Yeah, his hand is not great. Yeah, it's definitely weaker than the last hand we had for this matchup. Well, just keep on passing.
Fuse is lit.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. But we can gain back that life with Dead Bloom, potentially. Or Withering Wail. Yeah, I think we actually just salvage here. We're looking for better cards. Nah, that's unfortunate. Those are 2 cards we would have liked to have. Oh, okay, well, we got 1 Dredge Dredger. Yeah, I think we play this. It's tempting to leave it for like a Maokai Dredge Dredger's turn, but I don't think that's worth it. Let's see what our opponent does.
Can see the
Okay, that's fine.
Here.
Do we play the Maokai? Do we play the Dead Bloom Wanderer? I think he can kill Maokai too easily. If we play this, we bank 2 mana, so we go into the next one. That's not that relevant, though. Alright, we're just gonna run the Maokai out, see what he does. It's even easier for him to kill Dead Bloom Wanderer. Like here he needs like a damage spell plus okay, or that. Yeah. That's fine though. We're okay with that. Maokai's not that great in this matchup. It is pretty good because it creates a lot of blockers, but oh, there we go. That's a good card. Alright, this is pretty easy. Block here. Withering Wail. Simple as that.
Light the signal fires. Roxas lives on.
Gives him Sejuani progress, but not Swain. Okay. What's my easiest way to kill that? Can I even go for Thresh here? I don't know that I can. So that'll level Sejuani up in 2 more turns. Okay, I think our best play is Thorny Toad plus Dead Bloom. Because it gives us the most potential for tossing. And then we still have Abyssal Eye as a payoff. Because it'll be hard for him to kill this once we actually have it. Once we have Deep. Wow, double City Breaker. That's going to add up quick. I mean, start getting that chip damage in, I guess. It's got a kill spell. Yep, there it is. Yeah, that's fine. We're still banked 2 here, so that's not too bad. We really need to get to Deep. That's what we need. This is definitely sketchier than the last time we played this matchup. Yep. Block there. We'll play Thresh, I think. See what our opponent has. Culling Strike. Arachnid Sentry plus 2 Ravenous Flocks, maybe. This is the reverse side of the matchup. This is where it looks really bad for us. I mean, our opponent was pretty slow to activate, but we are definitely in a spot now where it's pretty... Things are looking grim. Let's put it that way. Because either of his 2 champions are really bad for us in this spot. Okay, that's one of the better things that could happen. That we're fine with. Sejuani's leveled up now. Jaw Hunters. Okay, well, we'll play the Maokai. See what our opponent does. Because now we can do that plus Jaw Hunters. That's fine.
Danger pays.
So now we'll toss a couple more cards, get a little closer to Deep. Well, we'll have Deep next turn. Ooh, that is a Deep payoff. That's fine. The question is, do we care to bring it back? Is Maokai worth bringing back? Oh, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab a City Breaker here. Grab you. Grab you. Grab you. That way we can kill that with Withering Wail. I suppose I should have put this in front of Thresh. He's down to 3 cards in hand. He used a Ravenous Flock. He used Culling Strike. Okay. Interesting. Decisions. On how I want to do this. Nah, it's fine. We'll find out what the last card in his hand is. That's the scary part. Sejuani or Swain is super bad for us. Other things, not so bad. I think we're gonna save this miscall to bring back a sea monster. I think is what we're aiming for. Best draw here is Nautilus. That, however, is not a Nautilus. Alright. I think we play a sea monster. Probably Abyssal Eye. That gives us the most options. Because if he passes again, we just salvage. That's scary, but... Toss, draw 2. Ooh, Grasp is pretty good. Another Abyssal Eye is not the worst, but it's also pretty bad. Really wanted Nautilus here for the cost reducing. Our opponent has a lot of good draws. That's not awful, but it's also not great. Yeah, we're just gonna go for this. All champions leveled up. Sejuani's really bad for us.
Knocked and ready.
That's also pretty bad for us. Yes, there's no benefit to attacking with him. So we'll attack here. And we'll attack here. Maybe? No, I guess it doesn't really matter. Attack like that. We will probably fire one of these 5 costs off. That's actually tempting to play him, just to have one more blocker, but I think our best bet here is to gain some life. And kill this archer. 1 card left in hand, we don't know what it is. We still have life gain. Also important. He hasn't hit the Leviathan yet, which is good for us. That might hit the Leviathan though. 5 leaves us with another 5, so we can play Abyssal Eye. Yeah, we'll play Abyssal Eye. This is gonna be a close game. This is gonna be a very close game. See what he hits. Sejuani. That is one of the worst things he could have hit.
I was forged by winter.
Let's see what he does. Decisions. Yeah, we'll pass.
Bristle, attack.
That's pretty good for us. So yeah, that will frostbite our stuff, but we can't take the damage, so we do have to block. We will Grasp the Undying to gain some life. We're still in decent shape. Because if we can find our Nautilus finally, that will make a big difference. That's our ideal draw here, is Nautilus. That is not a Nautilus. I guess we just try to obliterate Sejuani. Trying to think. I think we have to play Dead Bloom Wanderer to try and gain life. Okay. That's unfortunate, but not end of the world. Well, 3 cards left in deck. There are a lot of
Try me.
should be Nautiluses. Yep, and they have it, unfortunately. Oh, no. Well, like I said, that one was much worse for us. They had the perfect cards, and our hand was really bad for dealing with that. Well, let's see how we can do in game 5. Alright, Ender tokens again. Let's see if this time we can do a little bit better. This is the one that tries to run Sejuani, so it's kind of got a better late game, but only slightly. Again, we want to be the control deck here, so Nautilus is bad, Miscall is bad, Salvage is bad. Jaw Hunters, I guess we have to keep it because we have no other action in hand, and this could kill a Callista, but it does die to their removal, which is Vile Feast, so yeah, Dead Bloom Wanderer is probably the better turn 3. This hand is pretty bad, though. We didn't find the 1-drop. Okay, that makes it a little bit better. Unfortunately, they are the Sejuani variant, and we are going to take this damage on turn 1, but there are worse things that could have happened. We'll play this, Thorny Toad. That'll gain us life eventually, most likely. We get to swing with it this turn as well, because it eats Omen Hawk.
These old eyes
It eats Sentry too, so we still swing. He probably doesn't block here, though, because then he's guaranteed damage through next turn. We'll see what he plays, though. One of the better things he could play for us is Callista, because then we can play Dead Bloom Wanderer, and he can't swing anymore. Interesting. That is not what I expected. Well, we're still going to play Dead Bloom Wanderer. He can't kill it. So get our engine rolling. Start tossing some things. I mean, if he really has no play, then we're probably Maokaiing next turn. Or, I mean, I suppose we could Withering Wail, but I don't really see a big benefit to that. At least our opponents had a much slower hand this time. Well, we'll block there. No problem with that. Okay. Sure.
Light the signal fires.
That's weird. I don't know if he thought we were going to take that trade, because under no circumstance do we take that trade. Okay. Alright. And now we can actually swing with this Dead Bloom Wanderer. Yeah, we'll do that. Actually, we'll swing with both here. Biggest blowout is like... Yeah, but then he doesn't kill Dead Bloom. I guess block Dead Bloom and Fury of the North is Bark Beast. Alright, that's sweet. We're okay with that. I mean, I guess we don't gain life off this, but we toss, and that's really what we care about the most, actually. Yeah, let's see what our opponent does. That's fine. Player Maokai. We can start tossing even more cards. 12 away. Yeah, we got 3 here, though. Because next turn, we're probably going to go Dead Bloom Wanderer, which will toss 5 cards, which is pretty strong. Yeah, it gets us to 6. Means the next turn we go to 5, which this plus a creature makes that hit. Okay.
Protect our grove.
Alright, so here's our toss 5. Wonder how worried we are about this Callista flipping. I don't think we are. Because we can obliterate her next turn with Devour of the Depths. I mean, I guess if she flips, not as much. Okay, so he's gonna flip her for sure. Can I do everything next turn? No. Okay, yeah, so I can't actually play this and kill her next turn. Oh well. Now he's gonna get some swings in, which is fine. Or he just passes. He might honestly just pass. Okay, that's fine. Yep. That's pretty easy for us to deal with. We're not worried about that. Wow, double Ravenous Butcher. Okay, alright. Our opponent's hand is starting to finally do things. I mean, you don't swing. You definitely do not swing. That would be so bad for him, especially if he swings with Callista. Because, like, he could do the smart thing. Okay, he's going for the nuts. Alright, yeah, okay. Alright, now he can swing with Callista. Now he can swing with Callista. And it's not that bad for him. Before, he could have swung with this and left Callista last, and she would have leveled up before hitting, and so then I couldn't trade with anything. But I could block here, drop her to 1 health, and then obliterate her. Now he can swing with her with relative impunity. I mean, I will still block her, because that'll kill whatever it brings back as well. He should definitely swing with this, though. Because I don't know what he would get back. Well, he shouldn't swing like that. That would be... Yeah, he'll lose a card draw off that. Yeah, never mind. With Avaros and Sentry, if it was Cursed Keeper, he doesn't swing with this. That's probably a mistake how he chose. He probably should have swung with the Butchers and left the Spirit back, since he's getting Avaros and Sentry back. So we'll block here. We'll block here. We'll block here, I think. That's debatable. Block there, and we'll take 4. Are we okay with that?
I have learned patience.
Because, I mean, we can always block there and take 3. Yeah, I think we're fine with this. I think this is fine. We're gonna find out if our opponent has a, whatchamacallit, Vile Feast next turn, because we're gonna probably play this Jaw Hunters and just try to kill Callista that way. Since we can't actually trigger. That actually kind of works. That kind of works. Be pretty easy for her to kill Thresh, though. Decisions. Yeah, we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for Thresh. Now we'll go deep. Or not quite yet, but we're close. We're close. We can go deep off this. Which we might be doing this turn. Depends on how much I think this Withering will do. So things we're most scared of right now is our opponent has had a lot of things die. So if they have a They Who Endure next turn with Atrocity, we auto lose, basically. Oh, that's super unfortunate. That definitely messed up what we had in mind. Yeah. Guess we have to do this then. Yeah, we're in extremely rough spot right now. Our opponent probably has us, but it's hard to say. I'm trying to think what we can even do here. Okay, well he doesn't have the They Who Endure. That's the good news.
Danger pays.
So we're gonna do this, go deep, create a thing in hand, which is Beast Blow. That's pretty strong. Our opponent's probably gonna swing automatically though. which we do have Withering Wail to deal with these two. Yeah, let's see how he attacks, how he swings. Yeah, that was expected.
I tire of waiting.
We are willing to lose Thresh here, I think. I think that's the important thing here. Okay, so that drops us to a low total. So we'll block here, block there, and then I think we Withering Wail. And hopefully he doesn't have Fury of the North or a second Sejuani. Because if he does, we lose Thresh. And if we don't lose Thresh, then Thresh gets to swing and pull something, which should change the game tremendously for us. But we can't take this much damage, so we have to risk Thresh. I think our opponent must have it because they're considering it, but maybe they have Glimpse Beyond instead. Or they're trying to decide if they should Fury of the North for more damage or Fury of the North for killing Thresh. Which Thresh is the best option in that. Unless he's like double Atrocity, maybe. Because then the extra damage would be... Okay, alright. Alright. Does he have Callista's Black Spear then? Because that's one of the more concerning things. But again, this Thresh is probably dead. He's probably dead, but... we do have a couple of things he might want a Black Spear, like this Maokai that's 20 of 25. See what he goes for. Double Vile Feast on Thresh, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks. That's extremely bad. And that's our only Thresh, so he's gone. Now we want Maokai off the... or Nautilus off the top. Yeah, that put us in a bad way. On the bright side, he doesn't have many more Vile Feasts left. I think we're probably just playing Devourer of the Depths to kill Sejuani?
We'll see who feasts tonight.
Although I suppose there's a blowout for this if he has Fury of the North. Okay. He does not. We have two different things that can kill Callista. Okay. I suppose it doesn't really matter which goes for it. I guess we're kind of trying to level up this Maokai. So we will swing like this. Okay. So they who endure plus Atrocity and we're in trouble? We'll check what Maokai mills here, but they probably have a They Who Endure. And that's probably lethal at this point. He's lost a lot of units. A lot of things have died. Okay, another Callista. That's not that concerning. Okay, it's not going to show us what we milled. That's unfortunate. Yeah, well, we'll pass. We have a lot of blockers next turn. No They Who Endure is really good for us. We have 3 blockers. We have a couple of good draws. That's not one of them. Okay, there's the They Who Endure. That's pretty bad. But he can't Atrocity this turn. So we can obliterate this Callista. And we can still play Jaw Hunters, which is what we're actually setting up for here.
Hush now.
Our opponent is running low on cards, at least. We have to block here, or die. Block here, block here, block here. That's the real question then, is do we need to find some sort of life gain? Now we just block like this, don't do anything else, because we can still fling something at one of our opponent's creatures. Though now we're safe. Now we're safe not to. Okay, summon a sea monster or draw cards. Or create a sea monster or draw cards. Not in a great position, to be fair. We have to hope our opponent doesn't have Atrocity. I think that's just where we're at. Okay, 1 unknown, +3 in deck. Just have to hope he does not have it. Okay. That changes things dramatically. Now I could play Nautilus, plus leave Atrocity up. So if he tries to fling They Who Endure at us, we can fling Nautilus at it. But then if it's less, okay, so he has another They Who Endure. Okay. So what we're gonna do, go to combat.
I refuse to wilt. Fill their lungs.
Okay.
Fell into him.
Pull this one over here. I'll pull this one over here. Think. Oh wait, you know what? No. Let's be smart here. We can play the Beast Below.
Here's a big one.
You know, honestly, I think we actually destroy Maokai here. Right? We actually destroy Maokai here.
Here's a big one.
I think he has Atrocity though, and nothing we do matters. Yeah. And this is it. See what our opponent has. Does he have the Atrocity? Yep, GG. Oh! We got there! Hey! And that brings us to a winning record. Our opponent did not have the Atrocity, and that's all that matters. That 2020 would have ended us, so... There we go. Alright. Whew! Stressful match. But we got there. Alright, so let's review how we did with Deep Monsters in Masters. First off, I'm going to look at how we did with the games in the video, and then I'm going to talk about how I've done with Deep Monsters just in Masters so far through the season. We went 3-2. We went 1-1 with Endure. We went 1-1 with FN, Swain Sejuani, and then we beat Banner Scouts. So just covering those matches real quick. I think Swain Sejuani, you're pretty favored in that matchup. They don't do a ton early, and the removal isn't particularly great against your late game. But, as we saw, if they have the nut hand where they're like City Breaker, City Breaker, City Breaker, and they're dealing a ton of damage to you every turn that you can't do anything about, because City Breaker is really good into Deep Monsters, we have a very hard time removing it, since even our Taunt minions have only 4 power. So we have to do, like, minion that lives through all of their removal and hits, and then something else, like Withering Wail, etc. Like, it's very hard for us to remove it. So if they have that nut hand, then we get blown out. But I think, in general, we win that matchup pretty favorably. I think it gets a little bit close, or it seems pretty sketchy, but we have a lot of powerhouse cards that can just overrun them. Our late game is stronger as long as they can't stun all of our stuff. So they have to, their combo has to work perfectly for them to win that matchup, I think. Ender token's a lot more hit or miss. Our late game's scarier than theirs, but I mean, if they have the Atrocity, they could just kill you. And their early game is so powerful that, like, if you don't have that early hand, or a really strong early hand that gains a bunch of life, and if they happen to be removal heavy in their hand, so you can't gain life, it can really, really mess you up. So that one, I think, is pretty representative. I think that's going to be a 50-50 matchup in general. That's been my experience with it. is that sometimes you have enough to stall the early game and then you just take over in the late game, but sometimes they land a huge they who endure, they fling it at you, there's nothing you could do, that sort of thing. But yeah, that matchup's pretty 50-50. You could win it, you could lose it just as easily. And then Banner Scouts, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I thought that matchup was a lot worse for us, but since they do play fairly fair, we can stall them out pretty well, and then our late game is just better than theirs. Our creatures are bigger, they have better benefits entering, so it's just really whether they can run us down with the multiple attacks per turn. And it's pretty hard for us to deal with that, but if we have the early hand with lots of action early game, then we can do pretty well. But a removal doesn't line up well against them, so I'm inclined to give it a fit, like call that a 50-50 matchup. We won pretty handily, but I think we got a little bit lucky. I think our opponent's curve was kind of bad too, so not their fault. I think they just got unlucky. They didn't have the one drop on turn one, for example. So I think we got lucky. I think they got unlucky. I think that's the big deciding factor. I think it's probably a 50-50 matchup. I think that's the only time I've actually played it in Masters, so I don't have more to go off of than that, but just based on it, it seems like that's how it breaks down. Looking at Masters in total, I've gone 13-10 with the deck. I've had a lot of 50-50 matchups. For example, Endure, FN Ash Sejuani mid range, and then the Swain matchup we saw both of those. The Ash one's kind of rough because of the fact that they have Frostbite, and Frostbite plus Culling Strike can deal with your Nautilus pretty easily, and it makes your Atrocity not kill them, and their stuff escapes your removal most times. And it's just rough. Your blockers aren't particularly effective against theirs, so it's a 50-50. Your late game's better than theirs, but they can run you over before you get there. Endure, I've gone 2-2 against that deck. All the reasons I said before, I think that's still accurate. I'm 2-0 against the Tempo Sejuani deck, the Bilgewater Freljord Tempo Sejuani. That's them playing. One of them was the Gangplank variety, one was the Misfortune variety. Both of them were pretty easy matchups. They get you kind of low in health, but you can wrestle board control pretty easily, and then you can usually obliterate Sejuani, and that's pretty game ending for them. So it lines up pretty well in that matchup, I think, in my opinion, from what I've seen, how it played. Some of the other noticeable losses, I've lost to Keg Control, but only once. Discard Aggro kind of messed me up because it's pretty fast. And Noxus Piltover Ezreal Swain can actually be pretty problematic in a weird way, because Guillotine can answer most of our creatures. They can level up their Ezreal and just win out of nowhere. Swain plus damage stuns our stuff. It's kind of exactly what happens with the FN Swain version, except they kind of have better removal for stuff. It's a little easier for them to kill things, and Ezreal just is a very quick kill against us. So I think that matchup's kind of rough, though I think my opponent got pretty lucky on that one. I've only played Anivia Control once, but I won it, and actually won it really, really well. That's a matchup I consider incredibly favored. I lose it often as Anivia Control. It's pretty hard to beat Deep Monsters because their things are so big that you need several Anivias to clear them, and they can always just fling stuff at you if you don't have the harsh winds, and just in general, they put so many big creatures up so quickly, and it usually happens before we hit Enlightened. So yeah, Deep Monsters typically stops the Anivia Control matchup. It's also being Spooky Lux Control, and that's the big noticeable ones. Couple of weird outliers, like beating a weird Draven Fizz deck, and then I also lost to Swain Lux deck. I've seen that one a couple more times, but that's still pretty fringe. I played against Bilgewater Piltover Ezreal TF once, and that was pretty easy. I think Deep Monsters is pretty favored in that matchup too, because your removal lines up pretty well. You can stall out the board pretty well, and then your late game is just better than theirs. Riptide Rex is pretty rough into a Nautilus, since Nautilus, even if Nautilus is the only thing you have on board, it just eats all of Riptide Rex's triggers without taking any damage. And his triggers just do 1 damage, so it does very little to him. So that is a pretty good matchup. What really kind of messed up my numbers for the win-loss record with the Deep Monsters was I was playing this deck in Masters when Turbo Nautilus got popular. So I started out before that, and then I was still playing it when Turbo Nautilus kind of spiked for a bit. And the problem with that is that matchup's pretty bad for you, because other Nautilus matchups, like if you hit the mirror matchup, usually what it comes down to is who can flip their Nautilus first ends up winning. For obvious reasons, then all of your units become cheaper, and everything's just bigger, and it just becomes so problematic for the other Deep Monsters players. So the problem is Turbo Nautilus is even better at doing that than you are. So that matchup's pretty bad. They'll usually win it. You can sometimes get there, and potentially Maokai can be pretty good for you. But generally speaking, it's not going to be enough to actually close out against your opponent, because they'll probably keep a Nautilus in hand, so you won't be able to obliterate all their copies of Nautilus. But yeah, so that matchup's pretty doomed for you, no matter what it is. But like I said, it comes down to who gets there first. Sometimes they get a bad draw and you get there first, but I would definitely call that a unfavored matchup. But yeah, overall, I find Deep Monsters to be a pretty fun deck and a pretty strong deck. There's a lot of decks it can beat, and there's a lot of decks it goes 50-50 with. So if you're looking for a good deck where you can win most matchups you run into, because even if they're favored or unfavored, there's a decent chance you can win. This deck's pretty good. It has some good favorable matchups. They're actual good decks, like Tempo Sejuani and Anivia Control kind of was pretty meta for a while. And then obviously the Tempo Twisted Fate Ezreal, that matchup's pretty good for you. And the bad matchups aren't super bad. There's none where it's like you just auto lose. Burn gets close. Really fast decks are the hard ones, but generally speaking, I haven't found one where it's just you automatically lose. So it's a good deck if you're looking to grind, because of the fact that it can hold its own against most decks. It means you have a chance into pretty much every matchup. But all in all, I find it to be a very fun deck. Nautilus is a fun champion. You get to play some really big stompy things that normally you wouldn't be able to get away with. So it's a cool way to see a lot of pretty unique cards. And then the artwork for them is just great for some of those crazy sea monsters like Terror of the Tide. So, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more videos just like it.